Welcome back to Story Stash. I'm your host Duncan, and these are some of my stories I've written. Today, I'm reading from my book Star Guardian, and this is Chapter 14. So, let's get started. Chapter 14. Baglogi. This is strange. Where is everyone? Said Jem. I can not detect any vessels or signs of life. No signals on any frequency. Continuing to scan, said Ship. That's not right. Where are the defense patrols? They should have challenged us by now, said Jem. She pressed buttons on a console to zoom in on various areas of the system. I sensed this wasn't what she had expected. How long since Shimp was last here? Asked Kaluna. There followed a pause. Ship, please answer Kaluna's question, said Jem. I left the Baglogi system about 2,000 or years ago. The initial crew provided a viable gene pool for generations. Unfortunately, each successive generation had less viable options. We lost some crew to attrition. It became harder to sustain crew numbers until it was just 2 and then 1, said Ship. Jem looked at me. I couldn't tell what she was thinking. It seems Ship saw the organic crew as a component necessary for the mission. We might have to make adjustments to Ship's programming soon. Ship, during the last 2 millennia, something happened to this system, I said. Based upon initial scan results, it would appear so. Ship, why did you not return to the Baglogi system before now? I asked. A return directive was not within the mission parameters. No crew ever ordered me to return before now. Beyond that, I have no information, said Ship. You might have returned sooner, before you ran out of crew members. If you did, you'd have suffered the same fate as whatever happened here, I said. Ship, please continue to scan for life signs and vessels. Also, expand your search to include wreckage, and on planets check for ruins, said Jem. Confirmed, said Ship. We drifted further on into the system, our eyes glued to the tactical display for anything. Eventually Ship spoke up. Perhaps I might make a suggestion, asked Ship. Go ahead, Ship, said Jem. All attempts to communicate have failed to yield result. It seems our network of satellites is no longer in existence. I suggest I create replacement satellites to restore the network infrastructure. It may help us in our search of the system, offered Ship. I agree with your suggestion. Please fabricate and deploy replacement satellites. Keep me updated to your progress, said Jem. Meanwhile, Brian and I will take a shuttle to the former Baglogi homeworld. Brian, please find some good locations for us to explore. Kaluna, you will remain aboard Ship as our backup. Monitor for trouble both within and out of the system. Alert us of trouble and be ready to rescue us if need be. We each had our orders. I pulled up scans of the 4th planet and looked for sites to examine. We were still some distance out, with limited details. We weren't close enough to launch the shuttle. There was no sign of artificial light from the planet. I checked out the shuttle and the equipment we would need. We already had things tidy to prepare for the return home to a welcome by Jem's people. I returned to the main bridge. Jem was sitting in a chair by the tactical display. Kaluna was elsewhere. Captain, the shuttle is prepared for departure. As yet, I've identified no sites of interest on Baglogi 4. Perhaps we can move to the side facing the planet. Then I might find locations of interest, I said. The lack of a welcome clearly disturbed her. I resorted to a more formal interaction until I knew better how to respond. What happened? Said Jem. I didn't know the answer, so I kept quiet. I stood to one side, waiting for her. A few minutes passed, then Jem stood and hugged me tightly. I hugged her back and waited. I expected more than this. My home planet is empty, she said. We will figure it out. Maybe they moved on somewhere. We need to find out where, I weakly suggested. A while later, Ship announced we were within range of Baglogi 4 for the shuttle launch. Jem and I boarded the shuttle and left to explore the planet. Ship continued on to deploy satellites throughout the system. We would rendezvous later after we had each done our respective tasks. I piloted our shuttle into a low orbit to get better scans of the surface. Soon we'd crossed from night to day. The planet's surface was now illuminated by their sun. There were signs of ruined cities, but no recent activity. We decided on 2 places to explore, and I piloted us to the first location. The atmosphere was mild and posed no threat. Within an hour, we were on the surface at our first location. The sensors aboard the shuttle indicated the air was breathable and the weather warm and clear. So, I also ran a detailed bioscan in case it was a virus that had wiped out the former inhabitants. Once confirmed safe, we exited through the airlock and we were standing out in the open on the planet's surface. This planet, that was once the original homeworld of her species. As we stood there, I speculated, Jem was probably the first Baglogi to return home in centuries. Our first location was once the center of a large city. It was in ruins, long ago destroyed. I found no animal tracks, but there was vegetation. There was lots of dust and debris. Whoever did this was thorough, and it was clear they did it a long time ago. There were no tracks save our own, so no animals or predators. This place seemed long dead. Jem took the lead, and I followed close behind. We wandered around looking for clues about what had happened. I recorded some images, scans, and collected samples for later analysis. There was no structure over 1 story in height, and no doors intact. I was certain no one had visited for centuries. And it was so quiet. It was disturbingly quiet. There was little wind. The only disturbance was us. We walked along what could have been some kind of main street, leaving a trail of footprints in the dust. I guess backtracking to the shuttle would be easy. Throughout this all, Jem had hardly made any noise. Our normal banter was subdued, as if we were in a temple. A lot of the ruins were rock or some kind of concrete. Anything else must have either rusted away or deteriorated until it was dust. The weather had done a good job of erasing evidence of a once great spacefaring civilization. I took more samples and packed them away in containers. Perhaps Ship can help do an analysis of these samples. It's certainly not my area of speciality. We spent a few hours at this location, walking around the streets, examining what little remained. As we got tired, we worked our way back to the shuttle. We re-entered the airlock into the shuttle and collapsed into our seats. That is so depressing. Something bad happened here, but it happened so long ago. There's nothing I can do. I feel so helpless. This was once a thriving society, now it's ruins, said Jem. After all the silence outside, I found her talking strange. Perhaps we will find something at the next location, I offered, although I didn't think it would be different. After we rested, I pulled out a bioscanner and checked Jem and I. We were clear. I suspected a bioweapon or disaster destroyed her homeworld, and I did not want it to get us as well. We had refreshments. Then I piloted the shuttle to fly to the second location on our list for today. The flight was uneventful, and we encountered nothing different at the second location. It was long since dead. By the time we finished walking around dusty ruins, running scans and collecting samples, it was time to rendezvous with Ship. Ship had assumed a high orbit over the equator of Baglogi 4, so our rendezvous was easy enough. Once we docked with ship, we went through a thorough decontamination, after Kaluna greeted both of us with hugs. "I missed you two. I am so glad you made it back safely," said Kaluna. "We missed you too. Let's find somewhere comfortable to sit and talk," said Jem. We ended up in the main bridge, where the women sat on the sofa. There were many suitable places aboard ship where we could have gone, but the main bridge was familiar to us. I fetched beverages from the food dispenser for us and took my seat. "Ship, please report status," said Jem. "I fabricated the satellites per the original designs on file. They are in place or en route to their deployment target. Network is 40% operative at this point. Active and passive scans detect no life signs, vessels, or wreckage," said Ship. "Excellent. Kaluna, any sign of trouble?" "No, nothing at all. It has been uneventful here. Too quiet," said Kaluna. Too quiet?" "Brian and I examined 2 locations on the planet's surface. All we found were ruins, abandoned long ago. No life signs, no footprints or animal tracks, nothing salvageable. There were no clues about what had happened." "Brian, anything to add?" asked Jem. "There's a lot of ground to cover, and we only visited 2 locations. A thorough search will take time. I was thinking, would there be any underground sites that survived?" I said. "Ship, can you arrange for ground-penetrating scans of Baglogi 4 looking for underground sites of interest?" asked Jem. "Confirmed. I will task a probe with collecting data. Launch will be in 2 hours. Results of scans will arrive within 4 hours," said Ship. "What else do we need to discuss?" asked Jem. "Regarding what happened, the Baglogi race could have moved on for reasons yet unknown, or some disaster happened and wiped them out. The disaster could have been something natural, or more likely a stronger foe destroyed them," I offered. "I see nothing that to cause my people to abandon this system. The star has not gone nova. They haven't depleted the resources in the system. One simply does not leave home without a good reason," said Jem. "There's no sign of any advanced technology," said Kaluna. "I'd expect something to show they were once here. This system is empty." "I think the absence of advanced technology points more to a disaster. Whatever or whoever wiped out the Baglogi left no trace, including vessels and satellites in orbit. If a stronger foe destroyed them, where is the foe now?" I asked. "Perhaps elimination of the Baglogi was their goal, and they had no interest in occupation of this system," said Kaluna. "I have a paranoid thought," I said. "What?" they both said. When Kaluna said it had been too quiet, it gave me a bad feeling. Imagine the disaster was a stronger foe, and their goal was to eliminate the Baglogi. But they know the Baglogi sent out vessels to distant systems. Not only would the foe wipe out everything here, and perhaps hunt down any Baglogi vessels they could find, but I imagine they would also leave something here to watch and report when any Baglogi vessel returns home. "I'm feeling like we walked into a trap," I said. "Ship, please cloak immediately and take us out of orbit," said Jem. "Let's go hide behind a moon around Baglogi 6. Also, configure the satellites for stealth mode and limit them to using passive scans. Prudence dictates we be cautious." "Confirmed. Cloak engaged and leaving orbit. Travel time to Baglogi 6 will be longer in stealth mode. I've cancelled launching our probe for ground-penetrating scans. I'll have all satellites cloaked within the hour," said Ship. "Anything else, Brian?" asked Jem. "I'd say it is a good plan to distance ourselves from Baglogi 4. It's the most likely place any Baglogi vessel would visit." "What else?" asked Jem. "I'm not sure. Where is the best place to monitor this system for Baglogi vessels? Ship, where would you place a probe to watch this system? especially Baglogi 4? I asked. Since in this system the planets are on the same elliptical plane, I'd place a probe above or below the Baglogi star on the elliptical plane at a distance equal to the radius of the fourth planet. Ship, please prepare 2 cloak probes and send them to those 2 locations, maximum stealth. Please equip them with the nanobots that were so effective on the pirate. We don't know if a trap exists or if it's still functional. If cloak probes find something, they should use the nanobots to disable it, and then report back, Jem said. Confirmed, said Ship. Wow, now you got me worried. Do you think they will have spotted us already and reported? Asked Kaluna. I don't know. This is all speculation. My intuition is telling me that some healthy paranoia is a shrewd move. Kaluna, thank you for noticing it was too quiet, I said. What happens next? Asked Kaluna. Prepare for the worst, hope for the best, said Jem. The worst case is that they have superior technology and firepower. They're capable of genocide, and they know we're here. And they will arrive soon, I said. How do we prepare for their arrival? Asked Jem. I have some ideas. Since Ship left the Baglogi system before the events happened, we can all assume that the technology and tactics that existed then were unsuccessful, so we cannot rely on them. However, any redesigns, upgrades, or new technologies since then might work, I said. So, like the nanoprobes? Asked Jem. Yes, like that, and anything else we come up with. Plus, we can't outfight them head to head. We need to hide and fight in the shadows, I said. Jem, did you have cloaking exist before Ship left? Asked Kaluna. Crap, said Jem. Well, that ends chapter 14, and thank you for listening. Next episode, we'll have chapter 15, Hide and Seek. So, please join us again for the next episode. Until then, goodbye.